The spaceship Horizon's edge moved slowly through the darkness of space. Inside, Tae-Wan stood near the large window and watched the stars pass by. He was 32 years old, with a calm face and careful eyes. He worked as a cultural attaché, which meant his job was to help humans understand aliens and help aliens understand humans. Behind him, Yuna was reading something on her tablet. She was 28, a xenobiologist who studied alien life forms. Her eyes moved quickly across the screen as she learned everything she could about the Valorian Empire. "We arrive in 6 hours," said Captain Do-Yun from the doorway. He was an older man with gray hair and a serious expression. "I hope you two are ready. The Valorians are not easy to deal with." Tae-Wan turned from the window. "What do we know about them?" "Not much," the captain admitted. "They are one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Their technology is far ahead of ours, but they keep to themselves. They rarely talk to other species." Yuna looked up from her tablet. "So why did they agree to meet with us?" "That is the question everyone is asking," Captain Do-Hyun said. "Humanity just joined the Galactic Confederation 2 years ago. We are new. We are small. But somehow, the Valorians invited us to discuss a trade alliance." Tae-Wan thought about this. It was strange. The Valorians could trade with anyone in the galaxy. Why would they choose humans? "There is something else," the captain added. His voice became lower. "The Valorians have a rule, a very strict rule. You must never look directly at their royal family." Yuna frowned. "Why not?" "They say their royalty has a terrible appearance. They say it is too horrible for outsiders to see." The captain shook his head. "All Valorian officials wear masks or veils, the royals especially. You must respect this custom. If you break this rule, the mission will fail." After the captain left, Yuna and Tae-Wan looked at each other. "What do you think they look like?" Yuna asked. Tae-Wan shrugged. "I do not know, but we must be careful. Our job is to make friends, not enemies." 6 hours later, the Horizon's edge arrived at the Valorian homeworld. It was a beautiful planet with purple clouds and silver oceans. An orbital station floated above it like a jewel in the sky. The human delegation was small. There was Tae-Wan, Yuna, Captain Do-Yun, and 3 other crew members. They dressed in their best uniforms and prepared to meet their hosts. When the airlock opened, Tae-Wan saw the Valorians for the first time. They were tall and thin, with long limbs and graceful movements, but he could not see their faces. Every single one of them wore a mask. Some masks were gold, some were silver, some had beautiful patterns carved into them, but all of them hid the faces underneath. A Valorian official stepped forward. His mask was dark blue with white stars painted on it. "Welcome to the Valorian Empire," he said. His voice was smooth and formal. "I am Advisor Kelran. I will guide you during your stay." "Thank you for having us," Captain Do-Yun replied. He bowed slightly, a sign of respect. Advisor Kelran led them through the station. The halls were wide and beautiful. The walls were made of something that looked like crystal, and soft light came from everywhere. Yuna looked around with wide eyes. Everything was so advanced, so elegant. "Your rooms are prepared," Kelran said. "Tomorrow, you will meet with our council to begin discussions. Please rest tonight." Tae-Wan noticed that other Valorians watched them as they walked. Some whispered to each other. He could not see their expressions behind the masks, but he felt their curiosity. Humans were new to this part of the galaxy. They were strangers. That night, Tae-Wan could not sleep. He kept thinking about the mission. So much depended on it. If they succeeded, Earth would gain access to Valorian technology, medicine, energy, things that could help millions of people. But if they failed, humanity might not get another chance. He got up and walked to Yuna's room. She was still awake, sitting with her tablet. "You cannot sleep either," she said. It was not a question. Taewon sat down across from her. "What are you reading?" "Everything I can find about Valorian culture," she said. "But there is not much. They are very private." She paused. "Taewon, I have been thinking about the masks." "What about them?" "The captain said the Valorians believe their royalty looks horrible. But look at this station. Look at their art. Everything they make is beautiful. Why would they create such beauty if they themselves were ugly?" Taewon considered this. "Maybe their idea of ugly is different from ours." Yuna nodded slowly. "That is what I am thinking. Beauty is not the same everywhere. What is beautiful on Earth might be ugly on another planet. And what is ugly to them might be beautiful to us." "That is an interesting thought," Taewon said. "But we should not assume anything. We need to focus on the mission." The next morning, the delegation met with the Valorian Council. There were 12 council members, all wearing masks. They sat in a half-circle, and the humans stood before them. The discussions were formal and slow. The Valorians asked many questions about Earth. They wanted to know about human history, human technology, human culture. Taewon answered carefully. He tried to present humanity in the best light without lying or exaggerating. After several hours, Advisor Kelran spoke. "We are pleased with what we have heard, but to finalize any agreement, you must meet with Princess Lyra. She is the one who requested this meeting." "She is the one who will decide." "Princess Lyra?" Captain Do-hyun asked. "We were told we would work with the council." "The council advises," Kelran said. "But Princess Lyra has taken personal interest in humanity. She will make the final decision." He paused. "However, you must follow our customs. When you meet the princess, you must not look at her face. Her appearance is difficult. We do not wish to cause you distress." Taewon and Yuna exchanged a glance. They were both thinking the same thing. What could be so terrible about the princess's face? As they left the council chamber, Yuna walked beside Taewon. "I want to know," she whispered. "I need to see what they are hiding." "We cannot," Taewon said firmly. "We must respect their rules." "I know," Yuna said, but there was something in her eyes. Curiosity. The same curiosity that made her become a scientist. "I know we must, but I still want to." That night, Yuna made a decision that would change everything. She did not know it yet, but her curiosity was about to lead her somewhere she never expected. And when she finally saw Princess Lyra's face, nothing would ever be the same. The station was quiet during the night cycle. Most Valorians had gone to their quarters, and the lights in the hallways had dimmed to a soft blue glow. Yuna walked alone, her footsteps echoing on the crystal floor. She told herself she was just exploring. She told herself she could not sleep and needed to walk. But deep inside, she knew the truth. She was curious. She wanted to see more of this place, to understand the Valorians better. The hallways all looked the same to her. Crystal walls, soft lights, elegant curves. She had been walking for almost an hour when she realized she was lost. Every corridor looked familiar, but she could not find her way back to the human quarters. She stopped and looked around. There was a door ahead of her, different from the others. It was larger, made of something that looked like dark metal with silver patterns. It was slightly open. Yuna knew she should turn around. She knew she should find a Valorian and ask for help. But the door called to her. What was behind it? Why was it different from the others? She pushed it gently, and it swung open without a sound. Inside was a garden. Yuna's breath caught in her throat. She had never seen anything so beautiful. Trees with silver leaves grew from the floor, their branches reaching toward a ceiling that showed a projection of stars. Flowers glowed in soft colors, blue, purple, pink. A small stream ran through the middle, its water clear as glass. The air smelled sweet and fresh. She stepped inside without thinking. Her feet moved on their own, carrying her deeper into the garden. She reached out and touched a flower. It was soft, like silk. Then she heard a sound. Someone was crying. Yuna froze. She looked around and saw a figure sitting near the stream. It was a Valorian. She could tell from the long limbs and graceful shape. But this Valorian was not wearing a mask. The figure looked up, and Yuna saw her face. For a moment, time stopped. Yuna stared at the Valorian woman before her. Her skin was silver, smooth and luminous, like moonlight made solid. Her eyes were large and violet, with small golden flecks that sparkled like stars. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed softly on her cheeks, glowing blue and then fading, like a gentle heartbeat. Her features were delicate, elegant, perfect. She was the most beautiful person Yuna had ever seen. But the Valorian woman did not see herself that way. When she realized Yuna was looking at her, she screamed. She covered her face with her hands and turned away. "Do not look," she cried. Her voice was shaking. "Please do not look at me. My face is scary. I am sorry. I am so sorry you had to see this horror." Yuna did not understand. "Horror?" she said. "What horror?" "Me." The woman was trembling. "My face. I know it is terrible. I know it frightens people. Please, leave. Forget what you saw." Yuna took a step closer. Her heart was beating fast, but not from fear. From confusion. From shock. "I do not understand," she said softly. "You are not terrible. You are not scary at all." The woman shook her head, still hiding her face. "You do not have to be kind. I know what I am. I have known my whole life." "No," Yuna said firmly. She moved closer and knelt down near the woman. "Look at me, please." Slowly, very slowly, the woman lowered her hands. Her violet eyes were wet with tears. She looked at Yuna with fear and confusion. Yuna smiled gently. "You are not scary," she said. "You are gorgeous. You are the most beautiful person I have ever seen." The woman stared at her. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked like someone who had just been told the sky was green or that water was dry. She could not understand what she was hearing. "You are lying," she whispered. "I am not," Yuna said. "On my planet, you would be considered stunning, perfect. People would stop and stare at you, not because you are ugly, but because you are so beautiful." The woman was silent for a long moment. The bioluminescent patterns on her face pulsed faster, like an excited heartbeat. Then she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "You really think so?" "I know so," Yuna said. The woman looked down at her own hands. They were trembling. "I am Lyra," she said quietly. "Princess Lyra." Yuna's eyes widened. This was the princess they were supposed to meet, the one who would decide the fate of the trade alliance, the one whose face was supposed to be too horrible to see. "My name is Yuna," she said. "I am part of the human delegation." Princess Lyra looked up sharply. "You are human?" There was something new in her eyes now. Hope, maybe, or curiosity. "You truly think I am beautiful?" "Yes," Yuna said. "I truly do." Before they could say more, there was a sound at the door. Lights came on. Valorian guards rushed into the garden, their masks gleaming in the sudden brightness. "Intruder!" one of them shouted. "She has seen the princess!" Yuna stood up and raised her hands. "Wait, I did not mean to—" But the guards did not listen. They grabbed her arms and pulled her away from the princess. Yuna looked back and saw Lyra watching her. The princess had put her hands over her face again, but she was looking through her fingers. Her violet eyes were fixed on Yuna. "Wait!" Princess Lyra called out. Her voice was quiet at first, then louder. "Wait! Do not hurt her!" The guards stopped. They looked at the princess in surprise. "She did nothing wrong," Lyra said. She stood up slowly, her silver skin glowing in the light. "She got lost. That is all. Release her." "But your highness," one guard said, "she saw your face. The law says—" "I know what the law says," Lyra interrupted. There was strength in her voice now, strength that had not been there before. "But I am telling you to release her. I will take responsibility." The guards let go of Yuna's arms. She rubbed her wrists and looked at the princess. "Thank you," she said. Lyra nodded. Her face was unreadable. "You will be taken back to your quarters," she said formally. "Tomorrow, I will send for you. We need to talk more." As the guards led Yuna away, she kept thinking about what had just happened. Princess Lyra believed she was ugly. She believed her face was so horrible that it had to be hidden. But to Yuna, she was breathtaking. How was that possible? How could something so beautiful be seen as something so ugly? Back in her quarters, Yuna could not sleep. She kept seeing Lyra's face in her mind. The silver skin, the violet eyes, the glowing patterns. She kept hearing Lyra's words. "My face is scary." It made no sense. But then again, maybe it made perfect sense. Beauty was not the same everywhere. What humans found beautiful, Valorians found ugly. And what Valorians found beautiful, humans might find ugly. Poor Lyra, Yuna thought. Her whole life, people told her she was a monster. Her whole life, she hid her face in shame, and all that time she was actually beautiful. She just did not know it. Yuna made a decision. She would help Princess Lyra see the truth. She would show her that beauty was not what she had been taught. It was going to be difficult, but Yuna was determined. Tomorrow, everything would change. The morning came slowly. Yuna had barely slept, and when she finally woke up, she felt tired but alert. She kept thinking about Princess Lyra, about the tears in those violet eyes, about the way she had hidden her face in shame. A message arrived at her door. A Valorian servant delivered it silently. The message was simple. Princess Lyra requested a private meeting with the human representatives. Both Yuna and Taiwan were to come. Taiwan read the message with a frown. "What happened last night?" he asked Yuna. "The guards told Captain Doyun that you were found in a restricted area." Yuna told him everything. She told him about getting lost, about finding the garden, about seeing the princess without her mask. She told him what Lyra had said, that her face was scary, that she was sorry Yuna had to see her. Taiwan listened quietly. When Yuna finished, he was silent for a moment. Then he said, "She really believed she was ugly?" "She was crying," Yuna said. "She was terrified that I had seen her face. Taiwan, she is beautiful, I mean truly beautiful, but she does not know it. She thinks she is a monster." Taiwan rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "This changes things," he said. "If we can help the princess, maybe we can also help the mission." They followed a guide through the station to a private room. The room was smaller than the council chamber, with comfortable seats and a window that showed the stars. Princess Lyra was waiting for them. She was wearing a mask again, a simple white one that covered everything except her eyes. But her eyes were different today. Yesterday, they had been full of fear and shame. Today, they looked curious, hopeful. "Please sit," Lyra said. Her voice was softer than before, less formal. "I asked you here because I need to understand something. I need to understand what you said to me last night." Yuna and Taiwan sat down across from her. Yuna spoke first. "Everything I said was true, Your Highness. On Earth, you would be considered very beautiful." Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Tell me about human beauty. Tell me what your people find attractive." Taiwan leaned forward. "Among humans," he began, "we admire smooth skin, clear eyes, especially large ones. Symmetrical features. Soft colors are often seen as elegant. Things that glow or shine are considered special, precious. Lyra listened carefully. She touched her mask with one hand. On Valoria, it is the opposite, she said quietly. We find beauty in rough, textured skin. Small eyes are considered elegant because they show focus and discipline. Dull colors are preferred because they show humility. Anything that glows or shines is seen as loud, excessive, ugly. She paused. I have smooth skin, large eyes. I glow. By our standards, I am the ugliest princess in generations. My family is ashamed of me. I have spent my whole life wearing masks so that others do not have to see my face. Yuna felt her heart ache. She wanted to reach out and take Lyra's hand, but she stayed still. Your Highness, she said gently, I am so sorry. That must have been very painful. It is all I have ever known, Lyra said. I thought every species in the galaxy would see me the same way. I thought I was universally ugly. But then you looked at me, and you did not turn away. You said I was beautiful. I stayed awake all night thinking about it. Taewon spoke carefully. Your Highness, beauty is not universal. Every species, every culture, has its own ideas about what is attractive. Humans and Valorians simply have different standards. What your people call ugly, we call beautiful. And I imagine it works the other way too. Lyra thought about this. You mean, the features that Valorians find beautiful might be ugly to humans? Perhaps, Taewon said. I do not want to be rude, but yes, that is possible. A Valorian who is considered very beautiful here might look plain or even unattractive to human eyes. Lyra let out a small laugh. It was a sad laugh, but also a little bit amazed. My whole life, she said, I believed something that was not true. I believed I was a monster. But I am only a monster here. Somewhere else. I am beautiful. You are beautiful, Yuna said firmly. Not just somewhere else. You are beautiful right now, right here. Your people just cannot see it. Lyra looked at her for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She reached up and removed her mask. Her face was just as Yuna remembered. The silver skin, the violet eyes, the soft glow of bioluminescent patterns. She looked at them without hiding, without shame. I have never done this before, she said. I have never shown my face to outsiders by choice, but I want to see how you react. I want to know if you were telling the truth. Taewon looked at her calmly. His expression did not change, except that his eyes became warmer. Your Highness, he said, among humans, you would be considered the most beautiful person in any room. I am not saying this to flatter you. I am saying it because it is true. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were not tears of shame. They were tears of relief, of joy, of something she had never felt before. Thank you, she whispered. They talked for a long time after that. Lyra asked many questions about human culture, about art, music, fashion, love. She wanted to know what humans valued, what they cared about, how they saw the world. Yuna and Taewon answered as best they could. In return, Lyra told them about Valorian culture. She explained that the Valorians valued discipline, control, and modesty above all else. They believed that standing out was bad, that being different was shameful. That was why they hid anything that was unusual or striking. I have always been different, Lyra said. Even as a child, I did not fit in. I was too bright, too luminous. My siblings used to tease me. They called me the glowing mistake. Yuna felt anger rise in her chest. That is cruel, she said. It is just the way things are, Lyra said. But there was pain in her voice, old pain, buried deep. Before they left, Taewon said something important. Your Highness, you invited humans here for a reason. You requested this meeting, this trade alliance. May I ask why? Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I have always been interested in other species. I wanted to know if everyone in the galaxy saw things the same way Valorians do. I wanted to know if I was ugly everywhere, or just here. She looked at them. Now I have my answer. As Yuna and Taiwan walked back to their quarters, they talked quietly. She has been alone her whole life, Yuna said. Surrounded by people who thought she was ugly, who made her feel ashamed of her own face. But now she knows the truth, Taiwan said. The question is, what will she do with it? That was the question. Lyra had power. She was a princess, and she could influence the trade alliance, but her family did not like humans. Her siblings saw the human delegation as a threat. If Lyra tried to help them, she would face resistance. Still, something had changed today. Yuna had seen it in Lyra's eyes, a spark, a hope. For the first time in her life, the princess had been told she was beautiful. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to change everything. Princess Lyra wanted to believe the humans. She wanted to believe that she was beautiful, that her face was not something to be ashamed of. But years of pain and rejection had made her careful. She needed proof. The next day, she sent a message to Yuna. The message asked for evidence. Show me, Lyra wrote. Show me that humans truly see beauty in features like mine. Show me, and I will believe. Yuna understood. Words were not enough. Lyra needed to see with her own eyes. So Yuna gathered everything she could. She spent hours searching through human databases, collecting images and videos and art. She worked late into the night, and when she was done, she had created a presentation for the princess. The next morning, Yuna and Taiwan brought their materials to Lyra's private chambers. The princess was waiting for them, wearing her mask as usual. But when the door closed and they were alone, she removed it. Show me, she said. Yuna began. She showed Lyra paintings from Earth's history, elegant figures with smooth skin and large eyes, depicted as angels and goddesses. She showed photographs of human models and actors who were considered beautiful, many of them with delicate features and graceful forms. She showed fantasy art featuring elves and celestial beings, creatures with luminous skin and otherworldly eyes, always portrayed as perfect and desirable. Lyra watched in silence. Her eyes moved across every image, studying every detail. The bioluminescent patterns on her cheeks pulsed faster as she became more emotional. Then Yuna showed her something else. Videos of humans talking about beauty. Interviews where people described what they found attractive. Over and over, Lyra heard the same words. Clear skin, bright eyes, soft glow, elegant features. When the presentation ended, Lyra did not speak for a long time. She just sat there, staring at the blank screen. Finally, she said, All this time, all these years, I thought I was a monster. But somewhere in the galaxy, there are billions of people who would find me beautiful. Yes, Yuna said softly. Lyra looked at her hands. They were trembling. Why did no one ever tell me? Why did I have to wait until now to learn this? Taiwan spoke gently. Your people did not know, Your Highness. They only knew their own standards. They could not imagine that other species might see things differently. But they should have, Lyra said. There was anger in her voice now. They should have considered that beauty is not universal. They should have told me that I was only ugly here, not everywhere. Instead, they let me believe I was worthless. They let me suffer. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. My siblings, she said bitterly. They always told me I was hideous. They said I was an embarrassment to the royal family. My mother used to cry when she looked at me because she was ashamed that she had produced such an ugly child. Yuna felt tears in her own eyes. She could not imagine growing up like that. being told every day that you were ugly, that your face was too horrible to be seen. I am sorry, Yuna said. I am so sorry you went through that. Lyra turned to face them. Do not be sorry, she said. Be glad, because now I know the truth, and the truth changes everything. But the truth also brought problems. Later that day, Advisor Kelrin came to see the human delegation. His mask was dark, and his voice was cold. There are concerns, he said, about your meetings with Princess Lyra. Concerns? Captain Do-Yun asked. The princess has been spending too much time with the humans, Kelran said. Some members of the council believe you are influencing her. They believe you are trying to turn her against her own people. Taewon stepped forward. That is not true, he said calmly. We are only answering her questions. She wanted to learn about human culture, and we are teaching her. Teaching her what? Kelran asked. That Valorian values are wrong? That our standards of beauty are foolish? No, Taewon said. Teaching her that beauty is different in different places, teaching her that she does not need to be ashamed of herself. Kelran was silent for a moment. Then he said, You do not understand what you are doing. Princess Lyra is a member of the royal family. She has responsibilities. If she starts rejecting Valorian values, it will cause chaos. The other royals will not accept it. Maybe the other royals need to learn the same lesson, Yuna said sharply. She knew she should stay quiet, but she could not help herself. Maybe your whole society needs to learn that making someone feel ugly their entire life is wrong. Kelrin stared at her. Behind his mask, his eyes were unreadable. You are guests here, he said coldly. Remember that. He left without another word. That night, Taewon and Yuna talked with Captain Do-Yun about what had happened. This is getting dangerous, the captain said. If the council turns against us, the mission will fail. We need to be careful. But we cannot abandon Princess Lyra, Yuna said. She needs us. We are the only ones who have ever told her the truth about herself. I understand, the captain said. But we have to think about the bigger picture. Millions of people on Earth are counting on this alliance. We cannot let our personal feelings ruin everything. Taewon thought carefully. Maybe there is a way to do both, he said. Maybe we can help Lyra and complete the mission at the same time. If Lyra supports the alliance, the council will have to listen. She is a princess. She has power. But her siblings hate her, Yuna said. They think she is ugly and weak. They will not listen to her. Then we need to help her become stronger, Taewon said. We need to help her find her confidence. If she can stand up for herself, she can stand up for the alliance too. It was a risky plan, but it was the only plan they had. Over the next few days, Yuna and Taewon met with Lyra in secret. They talked with her, encouraged her, helped her see herself in a new way. They told her about human history, about people who had been rejected by their societies but later became heroes. They told her that being different was not a weakness. It was a strength. Slowly, Lyra began to change. She stood taller. She spoke more clearly. The fear in her eyes began to fade, replaced by something new: determination. One evening, she made a decision. I am going to stop wearing my mask, she said. Not all the time, but sometimes I want to start showing my face to others. I want them to see me as I really am. Yuna smiled. That is very brave, she said. It is terrifying, Lyra admitted. But I am tired of hiding. I am tired of being ashamed. If my face is ugly to my people, then let them see it. Let them see me and judge me. I will not hide anymore. It was a small step, but it was an important one. For the first time in her life, Princess Lyra was choosing to be seen, but her siblings were watching, and they did not like what they saw. Princess Lyra stood in front of her mirror, looking at her own face. For the first time in her life, she did not look away. She did not feel disgust or shame. She just looked. The silver skin, the violet eyes, the soft glow of bioluminescent patterns. She had been taught to hate these things. Now she was learning to see them differently. Beautiful, she whispered to herself. It felt strange to say the word. It felt like a lie. But it also felt like the beginning of something true. She had started removing her mask in front of others. First, just her personal servants. They had gasped and looked away, trained by years of custom to avoid her face. But Lyra had told them to look. She had ordered them to see her, and slowly, they had obeyed. Then she went further. She removed her mask in front of minor officials, advisors, staff members. Each time, the reactions were the same: shock, discomfort, confusion. But Lyra did not back down. She stood tall and let them see her. Word spread through the station. The ugly princess was showing her face. Some people whispered that she had gone mad. Others said the humans had corrupted her. But some, especially the younger Valorians, were curious. They had heard stories about the princess's face their whole lives. Now they wanted to see for themselves. One young servant, a girl named Saren, approached Lyra after a meeting. She was nervous. Her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "Your Highness," Saren said quietly, "may I ask you something?" "Of course," Lyra said. Saren hesitated. Then she said, "Why are you doing this? Why are you showing your face? Are you not afraid of what people will think?" Lyra looked at the young girl. "I am afraid," she admitted, "but I am more afraid of hiding forever. I spent my whole life being told I was ugly. I believed it. I hated myself because of it. But then the humans showed me something different. They showed me that beauty is not the same everywhere, and I realized that I had been lied to my whole life." Saren's eyes widened. "Lied to?" "Not on purpose," Lyra said. "My people did not know they were lying. They only knew their own standards. But those standards caused me great pain. And I think they cause pain to others too." She looked at Saren carefully. "Have you ever felt ugly, Saren? Have you ever felt like you did not fit in?" Saren looked down. "Sometimes," she whispered. "My eyes are a little too big. My skin is a little too smooth. People say I am almost pretty, but not quite." Lyra nodded. "On Earth, those features would make you beautiful. The humans would admire you." Saren looked up, surprised. "Really?" "Really," Lyra said. "Beauty is not one thing. It is many things, and we have been foolish to think otherwise." Meanwhile, Lyra's siblings were growing angrier. Crown Prince Vorath was the eldest. He was everything a Valorian prince should be: rough skin, small eyes, muted colors. He was considered handsome, powerful, and wise. He had always looked down on Lyra. To him, she was an embarrassment, a flaw in the royal bloodline. Now he saw her walking around without her mask, talking to humans, filling the heads of young Valorians with dangerous ideas. He could not allow it to continue. He called a private meeting with his other siblings, Princess Nara and Prince Dalun. They gathered in his chambers, away from listening ears. "The humans are a problem," Vorath said. "They are turning Lyra against us, against everything we stand for." Nara nodded. "I have seen her talking to the servants. She is telling them that they are beautiful by human standards. She is making them question our values." "It is dangerous," Dalun agreed. "If this spreads, it could destabilize our entire society. People will start to question everything. They will wonder if our standards are wrong, if our leaders have been lying to them." Vorath's eyes were cold. "We must stop this. The humans must be sent away, and Lyra must be brought back under control." "But the alliance," Nara said. "The council is considering it seriously. If we cancel the negotiations now, there will be questions." "Then we will not cancel them," Vorath said. "We will let the negotiations continue. but we will make sure they fail. We will turn the council against the humans. We will show them that humans are dangerous, that they threaten our way of life." He looked at his siblings. "And we will remind Lyra of her place. She is a princess, but she is also the ugliest member of our family. She has no power. She has no support. If she tries to stand against us, she will stand alone." But Vorath was wrong about one thing. Lyra was not alone. The next day, Taewon and Yuna came to see her with important news. "Your siblings are planning something," Taewon said. "We have heard rumors. They want to sabotage the alliance. They want to turn the council against us." Lyra was not surprised. She knew her siblings well. "They are afraid," she said. "They are afraid that humans will change things. They are afraid of losing control." "Can you stop them?" Yuna asked. Lyra thought about this. She thought about her whole life, the masks, the shame, the hiding. She thought about what she had learned from the humans. She thought about the young servant Saren, who had been told she was almost pretty, but not quite. "I can try," she said finally, "but it will not be easy. My siblings have power. They have the support of the older council members. I have nothing." "You have us," Yuna said. "And you have something else," Taewon added. "You have a message that people need to hear. A message about beauty, about acceptance, about seeing things differently. If you can share that message, people might listen. They might support you." Lyra looked at them. These humans had given her so much. They had shown her a truth that her own people had hidden from her. They had given her hope. "There is a grand assembly coming soon," she said. "All the major houses of Valoria will attend. The trade alliance will be decided there. My siblings will try to destroy it." She paused. "But I can speak too. Every member of the royal family has the right to address the assembly." "Then speak," Yuna said. "Tell them the truth. Tell them what you told me." Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I will," she said. "I will speak to the assembly. I will tell them everything. And I will do it without my mask." Yuna smiled. "That will take great courage." "Yes," Lyra said. "It will. But I am done being afraid. I am done hiding. If my people cannot accept me as I am, then they will have to say it to my face." She looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, a planet where she would be considered beautiful. But she did not want to run away. She wanted to stay here and change things. She wanted to help her people see what she had seen. It was going to be the hardest thing she had ever done, but she was ready. The Grand Assembly was in 3 days, and everything would be decided there. The Grand Assembly Hall was enormous. It was built from crystal and metal, with high ceilings that seemed to reach up to the stars themselves. Hundreds of Valorians filled the seats, representatives from all the major houses, council members, advisors, and nobles. They all wore their finest masks, decorated with gold and silver and precious stones. At the front of the hall sat the royal family. Crown Prince Vorath was in the center, wearing a mask of black metal with red gemstones. Princess Nara and Prince Delun sat beside him, their masks equally impressive. And at the end of the row, almost hidden, sat Princess Lyra. She wore a simple white mask, as she always did. The humans stood at the back of the hall. Taewon, Yuna, and Captain Doyun watched as the assembly began. They were not allowed to speak. They could only observe. Advisor Kelran stood and addressed the crowd. "We are gathered here to decide on the trade alliance with humanity," he said. "This is a historic moment. It is the first time in centuries that we have considered opening our borders to an outside species. The decision we make today will shape our future." He stepped aside, and Crown Prince Vorath stood. Vorath walked to the center of the hall. He moved with confidence and power. When he spoke, his voice was strong and clear. "My fellow Valorians," he began, I have studied the humans carefully. I have watched them during their time here. And I must tell you the truth. They are dangerous. Murmurs spread through the hall. Vorath continued. The humans do not share our values. They do not respect our customs. They believe that their way of seeing the world is better than ours. Already, they have begun to spread their ideas among our people. They tell us that our standards of beauty are wrong. They tell us that what we find ugly is actually beautiful, and what we find beautiful is actually ugly. He paused and looked around the hall. Is this what we want? Do we want outsiders coming into our empire and telling us that everything we believe is false? Do we want them to corrupt our children, to fill their heads with confusion? Many in the audience nodded. Some even called out in agreement. Vorath raised his hand for silence. The humans are not here to help us, he said. They are here to change us, to make us more like them. And if we allow this alliance, we will lose everything that makes us who we are. He returned to his seat. The hall was buzzing with conversation. Many people seemed convinced by his words. Yuna looked at Taiwan with worry in her eyes. This is bad, she whispered. He is turning them against us. Taiwan nodded grimly. It is up to Lyra now. Advisor Kelrin asked if anyone else wished to speak. For a moment, there was silence. Then, slowly, Princess Lyra stood. The hall went quiet. Everyone watched as Lyra walked to the center of the room. She moved slowly, her hands slightly trembling, but she held her head high. When she reached the center, she stopped. She faced the crowd. Then she did something that made the entire assembly gasp. She removed her mask. For a moment, no one moved, no one breathed. They all stared at her face, the silver skin, the violet eyes, the glowing patterns. Some people looked away immediately as they had been taught. Others stared in shock. A few younger Valorians leaned forward, curious. I know what you see, Lyra said. Her voice was clear and steady. You see the ugliest princess in generations. You see a face that should be hidden. You see something shameful, something wrong. She paused. I have been told this my entire life. Since I was a child, I have been taught to hate my own face. My family covered me with masks. My siblings called me names. I grew up believing that I was a monster. Her voice trembled slightly, but she continued. Then the humans came. And they looked at me. They looked at my face, at this face that I was taught to hide. And do you know what they said? They said I was beautiful. They said that on their planet, I would be admired and praised. They said that what we call ugly, they call gorgeous. The hall was completely silent now. Everyone was listening. At first, I did not believe them, Lyra said. I thought they were lying or mocking me. But they showed me proof. They showed me their art, their culture, their ideals of beauty. And I realized that they were telling the truth. Beauty is not the same everywhere. What is ugly here is beautiful somewhere else. And what is beautiful here might be ugly on another world. She looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of everyone she could see. My brother says the humans are dangerous. He says they want to change us, to corrupt us. But I do not think that is true. I think the humans have shown us something important. They have shown us that we are not the only ones who can decide what is beautiful and what is ugly. They have shown us that our standards are not universal truths. They are just choices. And if they are choices, then we can choose differently. She took a deep breath. I spent my whole life ashamed of my face. But I am not ashamed anymore. I am not ugly. I am simply different. And different is not bad. Different is just different. She turned to face her brother directly. You say the humans are trying to change us, but maybe we need to change. Maybe we have been hurting people like me, by being so rigid in our beliefs. Maybe it is time to open our minds and see things in a new way. She looked back at the assembly. I support the alliance with humanity, not because I want to become human, not because I think human values are better than ours, but because I believe we can learn from each other. They can show us new perspectives, and we can show them ours. That is what an alliance means. That is what friendship means. Her voice grew stronger. My whole life I have hidden. I have stayed in the shadows, afraid of being seen. But today, I am standing here, showing you my face, asking you to see me. And I am asking you to vote for the Alliance, not for me, not for the humans, but for all the Valorians who have ever been told they were not good enough, for all the children who have been ashamed of their own faces, for a future where we can be more understanding, more accepting, more kind. She stopped speaking. The hall was silent for a long moment. Then, somewhere in the back, someone began to clap. Then another person, and another. Soon applause spread through the hall, not everyone, but many. Young Valorians mostly, but also some older ones who looked thoughtful, even moved. Crown Prince Vorath stood up, his face hidden behind his mask, but his body stiff with anger. This is foolishness, he said loudly. She is emotional. She is confused. Do not listen to her. But the applause continued. And when Advisor Kelran called for the vote, the result was closer than anyone expected. By a narrow margin, the assembly voted in favor of the alliance. Yuna felt tears in her eyes. Taewon let out a breath he had been holding. Captain Do-yun nodded slowly, a small smile on his face. And in the center of the hall, Princess Lyra stood with her face uncovered, shining like a star. She had done it. She had found her courage and spoken her truth. And against all odds, she had won. But she knew this was only the beginning. The vote was narrow. Her siblings were furious. There would be challenges ahead, resistance, perhaps even danger. But for the first time in her life, Lyra felt strong. She felt seen. And she knew that whatever came next, she would not face it alone. The treaty was signed 3 days after the Grand Assembly. It was a formal ceremony, with representatives from both sides exchanging documents and making speeches. But for Taewon and Yuna, the real moment had happened in the assembly hall when Princess Lyra removed her mask and spoke her truth. Now they stood in the signing chamber, watching as Captain Do-yun and Advisor Kelran completed the final formalities. The alliance was official. Trade would begin between Earth and the Valorian Empire. Technology, medicine, knowledge, all of it would flow between the two civilizations. But that was not the most important change. After the ceremony, Princess Lyra found Yuna and Taewon in the corridor. She was wearing a light veil over her face, not a full mask, but something thinner, more open. She was taking small steps, moving slowly toward freedom. It is done, she said. There was wonder in her voice. I cannot believe it is done. You did it, Yuna said. You convinced them. Lyra shook her head. We did it together. You showed me the truth. You gave me the courage to speak. She looked at both of them with gratitude in her violet eyes. I do not know how to thank you. Taewon smiled. You can thank us by continuing what you started. Keep showing your people that different is not wrong. Keep helping them see things in new ways. I will, Lyra said. I promise. The next few weeks were busy. The human delegation prepared to return to Earth, but there was much to do before they left. They worked with Valorian officials to establish trade routes and communication channels. They planned cultural exchanges and scientific collaborations. And Lyra was part of all of it. She had become the official ambassador for the Alliance, representing the Valorian Empire in dealings with humanity. It was a position that would have been unthinkable before. The ugly princess, the hidden one, now the face of Valorian diplomacy. But after her speech at the assembly, many people saw her differently. Not everyone accepted her. Her siblings still despised her. but she had supporters now, especially among the younger generation. One day, Lyra came to Yuna with exciting news. "I have been invited to visit Earth," she said. Her eyes were bright with excitement. "The human government wants me to come as a guest. They want to show me your world." Yuna smiled. "That is wonderful. You will love it." "I am nervous," Lyra admitted. "I have never left Valorian space before. I do not know what to expect." "You will be welcomed," Yuna said. "I promise you. When people see you, they will think you are amazing." Lyra looked at her. "You really think so?" "I know so." 2 months later, Princess Lyra arrived on Earth. The shuttle landed in a large city, and Lyra stepped out into the sunlight. She was not wearing a mask. Her silver skin glowed in the warm light. Her violet eyes looked around with wonder. A crowd had gathered to welcome her. Humans of all ages stood behind barriers, watching the alien princess. When they saw her face, they did not look away. They did not gasp in horror. Instead, they stared in amazement. "She's beautiful," someone whispered. "Like something from a fairy tale," another person said. Cameras flashed, people cheered, children pointed and smiled. Lyra felt tears forming in her eyes. Her whole life, she had been told her face was too horrible to be seen. Now she was standing in front of thousands of humans, and they were looking at her with admiration and awe. Yuna was there to greet her. She hugged Lyra tightly. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "Thank you," Lyra whispered. "Thank you for everything." During her visit, Lyra traveled to many places. She saw mountains and oceans, forests and cities. She met human leaders and ordinary citizens. Everywhere she went, people treated her with kindness and respect. Some asked to take pictures with her. Others gave her gifts. Children wanted to touch her glowing skin, and she let them, laughing at their wonder. She gave speeches at universities and government buildings. She talked about her life on Valoria, about the shame she had felt, about what the humans had taught her. She talked about the importance of seeing beauty in different ways, of being open to new perspectives. And people listened. They nodded and applauded and thought about their own definitions of beauty, their own prejudices and assumptions. One evening, near the end of her visit, Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking a human city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Lights were coming on in the buildings below. Tae-Wan joined her. He had come to the city specifically to see her before she returned to Valoria. "How does it feel?" he asked. "Being here?" Lyra thought about the question. "It feels like waking up," she said finally. "My whole life I was asleep. I believed what I was told and I never questioned it. But now I am awake. I can see clearly for the first time." She looked out at the city. On Valoria, "There are still people who hate me, my siblings, the traditionalists. They think I am destroying our culture. They think I am betraying our values." "Are you?" Tae-Wan asked. "Maybe," Lyra said, "but maybe our values needed to be questioned. Maybe some things needed to be destroyed so that better things could grow." She turned to face him. The bioluminescent patterns on her cheeks glowed softly in the fading light. "When I go back to Valoria, things will not be easy. There will be resistance. There will be conflict. Some people will never accept me." "But some will," Tae-Wan said. "Yes," Lyra agreed, "some will, and that is enough. That is where change begins, with some people. Then more, until one day things are different." She smiled. It was a peaceful smile, a hopeful smile. "I used to ask myself why I was born this way. Why I had to be the ugly one. But now I think I understand. I was born this way so that I could meet you, so that I could learn a different truth, so that I could go back to my people and help them see what I have seen." Tae-Wan nodded. "You have already changed things," he said. "The alliance, the cultural exchange, your visit here, it has all made a difference. Humans are learning about Valorians. Valorians are learning about humans. And everyone is learning that beauty is not just one thing. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. Then she asked, "Do you still think my face is scary?" Taewon smiled. "I never thought your face was scary," he said. "I think your face is the most beautiful I have ever seen." Lyra laughed. It was a real laugh, free and joyful. "You know," she said, "I am starting to believe that." The next day, she returned to Valoria, but things were different now. She walked through the station with her head held high. She did not wear a mask. She let everyone see her face, the face she had been taught to hide, the face that humans called beautiful. Some Valorians still looked away, some still whispered, but others looked at her with new eyes. They saw not ugliness, but courage, not shame, but strength. And slowly, very slowly, Valorian society began to change. Young people started questioning the old standards. Artists created new works that celebrated different kinds of beauty. Parents told their children that being different was not bad. It would take years, maybe generations. But the change had begun, and it had all started with a simple truth that a human xenobiologist had spoken in a garden on a quiet night. "You are not scary. You are gorgeous. You are the most beautiful person I have ever seen." Sometimes that is all it takes. Sometimes one moment of honesty can change everything. And sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is not technology or wealth or power. It is the ability to see themselves clearly and to know that they are beautiful.